Well, good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Steakhouse. Sit back, relax. Got the table set for you. Steak knives around. Got your favorite beverage for lunchtime. Talk some T-bones and American Association baseball right here on the Steakhouse. We'll be open here in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Good afternoon and welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the Steakhouse. Let me adjust the volume just a little bit here and bring this down just a tad. I think it's a little loud. We're using our fancy gear today, so it's not the Be Live stuff we usually use, which means we don't have a guest. But next year, when we do this, or probably in the off season, sometime we get rolling in the off season, we're going to have the capabilities to, I can just tell the audio's a little loud there. Let me bring that down. Still pretty loud. Let me bring that down just a tad here. That's one of the things about this summer, kind of experimenting a little bit there. But I'm glad you're along. Happy Wednesday, wherever you are. Fall sort of in the air here in Texas. I know the weather's been up and down there in Kansas City. We are past probably the hottest point of the year. We should be trending back toward the direction here. But glad you're along. It's been a busy week in the association. We're getting all of that. I got my trusty little script right here. We're going to roll through all that. Again, we're using the fancy system, which got the fancy lights and things like pushing the button like for this. There's camera 2 you just saw a moment ago. Now, it wasn't quite in the frame, but oh well. What are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? We do what we got to do here. We can kind of push the buttons here. See the fan going over my head. Actually, probably bring that just down a little bit so you don't see the fan. Lights aren't as good on that shot, but I do like the different lightings. So you got different lighting possibilities. And then we go back to camera 1. There we go. Camera 2. If I was in camera 2, there you go. If I was. So we're doing that today. I have your questions, comments right here as well. So you want to fire those away. Good to see Brian. Mom, good to see you. My wife teaching school today. Glad you guys are logged. And again, the thumbs up. You're hearing me. I'm hearing me. Thumbs up. I'm going to do a more audio test here. Just want to just double check here. Yeah, I think we're better. Much better. Okay. What is going on this week's show? Well, first off, my question to you, because we always ask a question to kind of get things going. Who will win the American Association? Who's going to win it? Who's going to win it this year? I think that we're kind of in the situation where actually I'm going to kind of pull this back. Does that look okay? Yeah, I think it's all right. I'm a little bit in the overlay here. Let me kind of adjust this. You guys don't mind if I kind of adjust on the fly here. But my question to y'all is, as we bring this back just a tad here, give me just a moment here. I'm going to adjust this on the fly. There we go. Much better. I'm much less in the seam. There we go. Much more in the seams and not in the seams. And anyway, the Steakhouse. See my social media right down there as well. This is an overlay, a graphic overlay now. should be back a little bit, but I'm learning the fly too. I know this business, but one thing when I was doing this business in the early days, you had producers, directors, cameramen, and then you had talent. Well, those days of doing those things are over. You're all in one now. Talent I use loosely, but anyway, Milkman, Brian says, Milkman, well, in case you don't know who the two teams are going to be playing in the American Association Finals, congratulations to Sioux Falls, who are back in the finals, or at least the playoffs, first time since 2010. They are in the finals because, again, with the 6 teams this year, only having 2 teams make it, a best of 7, which is exciting. They'll be playing the Milwaukee Milkmen. Some folks joke around the T-Bones light. Milk Bones, there's been some jokes like that. But yes, you've got a little bit of that going on too. So we've got that's the situation. Who's going to win it? Milwaukee or Sioux Falls? Best of 7, which begins this weekend. We'll get to all that as well in just a moment. But we're going to get to Wednesday's Wisdom here, which is where we start off. Give you some kind of little tidbit. Let's pull by. And we've been doing this, right? Doing this lately. By the way, comments, it's your show. So comments, questions, please fire them away. And if you're watching us on repeat, glad you're along. A couple baseballs, an Australian Baseball League Rawlings edition. A Rawlings American Association edition. I don't know if I've got anything. Here's a Brett ball, Australia Brett ball right there, Brett Brothers ball. We've been talking about the great baseball, right? Baseball is what we've been talking about. We started about 5 weeks ago, moving from the early origins of baseballs, how they were made. We talked about how pitchers made their own balls. It was made out of all kinds of, you had cowhide, horsehide, whatever you hide you could find. Some were light as feathers. Some of them floated like a wiffle ball. Some of them were heavy with rocks in them. It was kind of whatever and the pitchers sort of were in charge of making their own ball, however they wanted to make it. And actually, I'm going to slide this over just a tad here, guys. There we go. But we've gone through the whole transformation of baseballs. I went to a uniform style around the turn of the last century, and they went to both leagues developed the same style. We've talked about the mud, which you can see a little bit of it on here, the difference in the two. So slightly different hue on this one, that Delaware River mud on this one. There's a pearl right here. We talked about that. There's a pearl, and you can see the slightly different kind of milkish, brownish white right there. The Brett ball's got a good, you can tell the difference in the two right there. See the difference in the two? Definitely different. Just a little bit of that Delaware mud. We talked about that. What we're going to talk about here is there are actually 2 factories that make the baseballs worldwide for Major League Baseball and in general, most organized baseball. Now, granted, this is a Rawlings ball. The association, Miles Wolff signed Rawlings ball. Anything made for MILB or independent ball, good chance that these are made in China. And this one right here, you'll see here, can you see that? And the focus will, there you go. Actually, you know what? Camera 2 will be really good for this one. You guys can probably see it real easily there, can't you? Yeah, there you go. See China? That is right there. That's what most MILB association balls, Australian Baseball League, you name the league. Now, the big league balls are made in Costa Rica. There's a separate factory. Rawlings has a factory. Now, I'm not going to get into the politics of it. To make it pretty simple, Rawlings, part of the Rawlings Corporation and part of the Rawlings baseball operation, it's a web of only American business could do. You've got some ownership of the Rawlings Corporation through Major League Baseball owners. Long story short of that, there's some webbing that goes in as far as who owns the Rawlings Corporation. The long and the short of it is they've got a factory in Costa Rica. And I'm going to be showing that factory right there. There it is. Right there's the factory in Costa Rica. Rawlings official baseballs made down. That's the big league model. The Chinese balls are made for the lower levels. But that's that is where you'd find the baseballs made in Costa Rica. Quality control is what I'm going to talk about today. Now, I find this interesting. I find this very interesting. You know, quality control to me for a baseball seems to be pitch and catch, hit the ball with the bat, generic couple folks in the backyard, at the back of the Rawlings factory, doing sort of human things, right? Yes and no. And this is where I was surprised that a statistically representative sample of each shipment of baseballs is tested to measure coefficient of restitution, using Major League Baseball's officially sanctioned testing procedures. Now, Major League Baseball has a certain way they want you to go about it, and they do this in Costa Rica. Basically what this COR, they call it, is indication of the resiliency of the baseball. So while we're thinking, okay, for example, product quality control at your favorite burger joint is you devouring said burger, saying, yes, thumbs up, it's really dadgum good, and having cold adult beverage with it, even better. Those tater tots are great. I'm the quality control guy, okay? Or, better yet, if you own said burger joint, you try the burgers yourself because you own it. Yeah, damn good burger. I'm going to throw this out to the public. That's quality control. We often joke about quality control, especially in food and beverage. You know, I'm going to be the quality control guy for the new Corona that's out, right? You get the point. It stands to reason that in baseball you would probably have a quality control. A couple guys playing catch, maybe some live BP. Here's a box of new baseballs, guys. Let's just see how they jump off the bat. Let's throw some BP out in the field behind the Costa Rican Rawlings plant. But yes and no. This COR test is not exactly like that, but it has the same elements they've recreated. It involves shooting a baseball from an air cannon at a velocity of 85 feet a second. That's 25.9 meters a second for you folks in Australia, at a wooden wall from a distance of 8 feet, 2.43 meters, and measuring the speed at which the ball rebounds off the wall. Okay, let me get that again. They're shooting said ball out of an air cannon against a wall made of wood to replicate a baseball bat. So basically what they've taken is taken the baseball bat, peeled the daggum thing, right? Like almost like you're peeling peeling a lemon or an orange, perhaps, maybe a better way to look at it. You peel it off, slap it up against the wall, which is what they do, and then fire this baseball from an air cannon into the wall to measure the variables of bouncing off the wood and measure that speed which the ball rebounds off the wall. Major League COR specifications stipulate that a ball must rebound 54.6% of the initial velocity plus or minus 3.2%. So my math brain tells me that it must bounce back about half, a little over half of the speed it went into it. So that, again, not a math guy, don't profess to be, but that's the test. So they fire it off from the wall, wooden wall bounces back, and they have to measure it with a 54% initial velocity, and then again with a plus or minus. Sounds like an election. It's like election polls, right? Like this election coming up. Plus or minus within the margin of error, folks. It's 3.2 is the percentage of error here. That's the plus or minus within the margin of error. So it's a dead heat, right? But in baseball, just to kind of, let's say the ball is 51%, well, it's still in that margin of error, plus or minus, so all good. A baseball must also retain its round shape after being hit 200 times by a 65-pound force as proof of its strength. Baseball must distort less than 0.8 of an inch after being compressed between two anvils. So they take two anvils. These are my anvils. Put that pressure on there. It can't move more than 0.08 of an inch. So that's 0.20 centimeters. So a slight movement you're going to have. They put between two anvils. You're going to see it. But the baseball takes a punishment. Now what they do, they take a statistical sample of the balls, of the millions of baseballs they bear, or actually more or less than that, the 200,000 or so baseballs they run a year. They take a limited sample from each batch, and that's how they test the quality control. They don't actually test every baseball, but let's say this ball was in the same box as this ball, and they take this one out, leave that one in, and they take a sample from each, and that's how they do their statistical stats model. I never thought stats would come into play besides baseball stats, but it's coming into play on the show, so all good. But you get the point. And that's Wednesday's wisdom. Yes, there is baseball quality control. It's not two guys out back playing catch or throwing the ball, hit the ball as far as you can. It actually is a scientific, pseudo-mathematical equation that they have, a COR they call it, this measure of coefficient of restitution, COR, using Major League Baseball sanctioned testing procedures, basically hitting a shooting ball against the wall, a wooden wall, and getting the bounce back, and also putting between two anvils, and also a 65-pound force hitting a ball 200 times. So as long as the ball sort of retains its shape, doesn't get too beat up, this bad boy's passed the test. That box can be shipped on. The one that came out vouches for the other ones in that case. So the 24 or 23 baseballs remaining, they get an extra ball, and they all go back and they're shipped out to be played in Major League Baseball. Similar type deal done in the minors, but not nearly as thorough. The test for the minor league baseball, not nearly as much. They manufacture more baseballs in China. That way they don't have to do as much testing. And if you got a box that just looks like it sucks, well, you toss it out. So kind of the way it works. There you go. So, yes, you had your own burger place. You test your own burgers. You make your own baseballs. You test your own baseballs. And that's what Major League Baseball does, as they do their own thing. Welcome to Steakhouse. My name is Dan Vaughan, talking baseball and American Association baseball here on Facebook Live on a Wednesday. It's our final show of the year, at least our final season show. We do go into dry dock. Now, what we'll be doing going forward, we will be having our breaking news segments as they come. We'll open the Steakhouse here and there as we can. We'll do a monthly show in the off season. As we get closer after the holidays, we'll start ramping up, doing more maybe bi-monthly. And then when we get to March, we start to go tail end of March into April. Usually by April, we're in every week. And then once we get to the season, next 2021, the Steakhouse is open every day, but we call that, do you guys remember this? The cup of sizzle? Cup of sizzle during the daytime, during the season, right? Monday through Friday. We shut the Steakhouse down during the season and open up the bistro, if we call it, and do a little afternoon latte, a little noon talk. And we do it every home and away game on Facebook Live. And we'll be expanding that coverage on YouTube and on Twitter and Periscope. That's coming too. You folks do like to follow on Twitter. You're going to get a lot of extra stuff coming next year as we'll be able to get to work on some of those things. Some things we tried this summer and played around with, we're going to implement coming up in the off season. So let's check the question. Milkman, Mom says Milkman. Brian says Milkman. Two Milkman. Missed the question off the top again. Who's going to win the American Association? The Sioux Falls Canaries, Tweedy and Company, or the Milwaukee Milkmen in, is it Bovine? Is that his name? Basically, it's Sizzle's cousin. It's Sizzle's less meaty cousin, right? That's what it is. All right, let's move along here. Let's continue the show. The show is The Steakhouse. My name is Dan Vaughan. I am the voice of the Kansas City T-Wolves. I don't like this one as much. This camera angle is not terrible, but I look like I'm kind of in the dark here. Maybe this light around just a tad. Does that give me a little more light there? That's the one thing. I thought I liked it initially, but now looking at it on second thought, it's the same, little lower camera angle, but it's the same, but all good. American Association time, postseason set. Sioux Falls facing those Milwaukee Milkmen in the best of 7. I'm excited about that. The association going from the best of 5 to 7, I think it makes sense in the shortened season. It makes sense. Again, at every turn this year, the little American Association, the little baseball engine that could, not the big bad Major League baseball machine, which has had, is stumbled and farted and fell down enough times that, the schedule's so out of whack. I don't know how I don't know how to figure it out as a fan. But the little engine that could is fired away. Had one COVID out back early on in the season. That's been it. And I got to tip my cap, Josh Schaub, and of course Josh Buckholz, the entire association family, all the teams playing and the ones not. What they've done to pull this thing off with one more day of the season, well, today and tomorrow, is amazing. And I think it's one of those things you're going to look back on I look at guys like Steve Schuster, what he's been through this year with Winnipeg, tip the cap. And I'm going to talk more about this toward the end, but you look back at this season and say, boy, this thing's really on fire now because of that season. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. I've seen situations, I used the Australian Baseball League, where Major League Baseball came to Australia's shores in 2014, opening series with Sydney at the Sydney Cricket Ground. At the time, Baseball Australia didn't really capitalize on that like they probably should have. Now, since that time, things have really taken off, and that's all because of my good mate Cam Vale, what he's done with those folks in Australia, their expansion. But that 14, 15, 16 stretch, they didn't really take advantage of it. The association will. By playing this summer and by getting this season in, it's creating momentum. There's no gap. I mean, the league didn't go away for a year and come back. Oh, by the way, now some teams went away, but the league didn't go away. The league product stayed intact and went forward. And that, to me, is a great story in of itself. So congratulations to the association. Congratulations to Milwaukee and to the Sioux Falls Couriers. Let's talk about Milwaukee. How'd they clinch it all? And actually, I didn't really pull this up, and I put a graphic up, and I probably should have. Probably should go ahead and give you guys quickly the standings as we play. Playing today on the 9th of September, Milwaukee 33-24. They're a game and a half clear of Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls 31-25, a game and a half back. Those two teams are already in. St. Paul was my pick for number 2. They looked like they're probably going to finish third. Well, they're going to finish third, 29-29. The reigning champions will finish more likely after a win last night, get back to 500. They got a real good chance to finish above 500 or at least at 500. Winnipeg, boy, what they did for 3/4 of the season, really the 21st, 23rd of August. They were in first place until the 23rd of August. Just ran out of gas, playing all those road games, no home, real home. They've 6 games back, 27-30. They will not finish. Well, actually, I think they have a chance to finish at 500. They have a doubleheader, I believe, today. There was 2 rainouts last night. Fargo, 27-31. For them to get where they got, though, within shotting distance at one point, they won, had that 9-game winning streak. Phenomenal run for them. Maybe a little bit too little too late, but a very good place to build on for next year. And then Chicago, 24-32, 8.5 back, 4 back. I'm going to get into this down the road with Kevin Luco and Rob Penier and others, but I don't know enough about Chicago to really tell you one way or the other what went wrong. But I would say overall, if there's a team out there that you say, gosh, that's disappointing because it looked like on paper that was going to be the club. That would be the team that was going to run away with this thing. And to finish 6 or 8.5 back, they dropped 4 straight. They're going to finish way below 500. I don't know if this signals any changes in Chicago down the road or they toss out this year, but they've had a couple of, the 3 seasons they've been involved in the league, they've had some really good expectations. A little rough that first year. Played some great baseball late last year, but still a little late for that. They've had some stretches they've been really dominating. They had a stretch they got in the 3rd position, were right there challenging for a playoff spot early, about midway point, and just fell on hard times. I don't know what it is, but I'll be interested to find out what Rob and Kevin think from this week, the American Association, because I think really, if you want to say a team's been a bit of a disappointment to their fans, I think Chicago would be the one. They've had some big stars. Victor Roach, and I love Michael Krause. They've got some pieces there. But again, I just don't know, and again, I don't know enough about it. We have to probably get some of those folks on and chat. We'll talk more about it in the offseason, especially when we see Chicago next year as T-Bone's family. We'll have a better insight on maybe what happened this season. But again, there's your standings in the association. That's how they look as we play with just today and tomorrow. That'll be it. That's all she wrote. Till the postseason rolls along. All right, I mentioned Milwaukee clinching postseason over the weekend. The Milkmen. Here's their final out right here. Here's the final out video of the Milkmen as they clinched it over the weekend.
The set and the pitch. Fly ball hit into short right center field. All day will yield for the left field, and the ball bounces in, and the Milkmen are going to win it. Oh my goodness, confusion in the outfield between Alday, the center fielder, and Metzger, the left fielder, and it drops in, and the Milkmen win. How about that for a walk-off victory? Sermo getting the...
Yeah, there's Jose Sermo getting the shower right. There's Tom Wynn, the voice of the Milwaukee Milkmen. I want you guys to watch this again. This is the pop fly. There's Forrest Alday right there, and former Railcat Brennan Metzger. Metzger just misplayed it. And he and Alday kind of short-armed it right there. Watch it again. That's kind of, you got it, I got it, wait, up, it, and just misplayed it. And that was the walk-off win right there for the Milwaukee Milkmen. That win and a loss along the way, I believe it was the St. Paul loss that night, is what pushed all the buttons in. That was on Saturday night. That was their clincher. They were done in there. Defeat of Fargo in 11. That was 11 innings. Again, St. Paul, who beat Winnipeg in 12 innings. I believe I mentioned it the wrong way. 7-6 win. That went ahead and that took the tiebreaker out and gave them an outright playoff spot. That game right there, that win on Saturday, gave them at least a tie, and then the tiebreaker and the guaranteed spot went their way once St. Paul took care of Winnipeg in 11. I guess it was in 12 innings, a little bit later, another hour or so later, and that's how Milwaukee punched their ticket to postseason. Congratulations to Milwaukee Milkmen. Very good stuff for them. I think it's really good to see a new franchise, their second year, and what they've done. I think what Milwaukee's done on and off the field has been phenomenal. Their social media engagement is phenomenal. What they do with both the fireman and Van the milkman, both those guys are great. And what the entire organization does on the field, obviously, pretty impressive. Their social media engagement, I don't know if you saw the Dillard stuff over the course of the last couple of days that have been tweeted out. Some really fun stuff as the Milkmen engaged in a remake of the, I guess it's Dumb and Dumber, where, hey, big gulps, huh? You guys seen that? Well, they did a recreation of that. Tim Dillard and Mason Davis. I forget who else is in it, but they duplicated it. Well, what's the word for it? Recreated it. There you go, Vaughan. Recreated it coming out of a pseudo convenience store, which actually was there in the ballpark in Milwaukee. Very good stuff. I encourage you to check it out on Twitter. It's on the Milwaukee Milkman Twitter, also their Instagram account. But what they've done social media wise, their engagement is something to really. St. Paul is sort of set the bar high for all of us. And Milwaukee's right there with them. And I think Milwaukee, what they've done their second year, a big tip of the cap to them. Just the entire organization. I'm just very happy for them. So congratulations to Milwaukee as their first entrant into the association finals. Again, that's the expansion club. Last year were 38-62 and last place in the North. This year they're going to finish first place in the overall 6-team mini competition. But Anthony Barone, their manager, very likable guy. Looking forward to getting to catch up with him next year, maybe in this off season as well, get him on the Steakhouse. But they've got that one day at a time approach, and it's been working for them. The Sermo move sort of solidified their club. Not that Jose's been rocking and rolling, but all it did was make guys like Adam Brett Walker that much better. The people around him just made that lineup just deeper. And what they're rolling out there now, I think that they've got the complete 1 through 9 roster. I think they've got that. And just looking at some of the items, I actually have this right here, pulling that down while we're talking here. I was going to tell you guys, just looking at their, David Holmberg, of course, leads the league in pitching. We're getting the league leaders in a moment, but their league numbers, they don't jump out at you as far as offense goes. But what I love about it is it's a balanced attack. It's very much what I think what Kansas City brought to the table the last 2 years, the 18 and 19 season, and maybe the 17 season too, and maybe more like that 17 club that came on late. But as a team, Milwaukee's only batting .240, but they're consistent across the board. They're right in the middle of the pack in walks. Stolen bases are going to be a big plus for them. They got the team speed, lead the league in stolen bases. What they do is put pressure on you once they get aboard, and they're going to hit for a little bit of pop. 58 homers is going to put them right in the middle of the pack. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, puts them four out of 6. Fourth in doubles as well. But where they really get you is getting on base, and that on base percentage and getting those walks. It goes 186 walks. That was good for third in the association this year. But when they're on, they're tough. Strike out a little bit much, but again, they're very consistently, and they take advantage of the opportunity. And that's again, this is so much what we've seen from Kansas City over the last couple of years. I like the whole Kansas City Light deal. Where they really shine is on the hill. The only team in the league with a 3.71 ERA below an earned run average below 4. Everybody else is 4 or above. They're the only one with below 4. The next closest team is Fargo at 4.29. So you see, at least on paper, their offense may not carry the thing, but they'll put pressure on you speed-wise. Their pitching carries the thing. And also play very good defense. They lead the league with the fewest errors and the best fielding percentage as well, 981. 38 errors in the 60-some-odd games. That leads, or fewest errors in the American Association. Of course, anchored by former T-Bones all over the place. It's like, I got T-Bones light. You've got, of course, Dylan Baker working out the pen there. You got Mason Davis, Christian Correa, Adam Brett Walker. A lot of folks remember he was a T-Bone 2 years ago. That first weekend was signed with the Twins. Of course, the Dylan Tice doing what Dylan does. You just have a real. I mentioned Christian Correa. You have a real T-Bone feeling about that ball club, and it's good to see them doing well. And congratulations to Milwaukee Milkmen for their move right into the postseason. Again, the show is the Steakhouse. My name is Dan Vaughan. Glad you're along on Wednesday. Questions and comments. I'm right here, boy. You're going to see Don out there as well. You guys fire away. Here to answer anything you got. I do have the chat up. I don't have it on the screen for you guys like I do on Beeline, but there is an app for that, but I haven't gotten that far yet. We'll get that at some point. But glad you guys are along on a Wednesday. Hope your Wednesday is going great. Our final regular season show from the Steakhouse. How about that? Can't believe it, can you? That short season flew right on by. All right, let's continue with Sioux Falls. Congratulations, Sioux Falls. Of course, the Milkmen with that 32-24 record. Sioux Falls clinching, and their first playoff berth since 2010, 11-9 win over the Chicago Dogs. And I meant to pull this up. Give me a moment here. I want to pull this up and see if I can find this. Give me just a moment here. I meant to pull this up earlier, and let me see if I can do that. 2010. I want to go back to the American Association playoffs of 2010 and give you guys what was actually on that. It was Sioux Falls Pheasants at the time, and just look at who's in their playoff lineup card. Can you name Reggie Abercrombie would have been a name that was a Sioux Falls Canary then. Ben Moore, who's their pitching coach, just kind of seeing here. Of course, the 09 team would have had Pat Mahomes Sr. on the 09 team. We're just seeing any recognizable names here. Brandon Singh, who is a Australian, actually. Don't see any of them. Just looking out of curiosity, in that year for the American Association, it would have been, let's see here, team that year would have been Lincoln, Pensacola, and Shreveport, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Just looking back on that year, I believe that year, let's see here. Yeah, it would have been. Shreveport Bossier won the league that year. They went 6-2 in the postseason, won their final 4, and Shreveport Bossier won the American Association that year. It was right before Fort Worth won back-to-back. I know that, so I do recall that. But Shreveport, Sioux Falls Pheasants, Pensacola Pelicans, Lincoln Salt Dogs, 2 of those teams still around. One of them has changed names, just to go back to kind of give you some history of the whole American Association. I meant to pull that up before the show, but I didn't get a chance to. How about my boy Carter and company there in Sioux Falls over the weekend? Actually, this would have been Sunday. This was Sunday, courtesy of the Sioux Falls Broadcast Network. Carter Waddell and his broadcast crew. Let me find this for you. Here we go. Their final out right here. Actually, final out right here.
The 0-1. Ground ball, second base. Lago scoops it up. He throws over to first base, and playoff baseball is coming back to the city of Sioux Falls. The Birds win it, and they're finals bound in 2020. The players from the bullpen spill out onto the field. The celebration is on at the Birdcage tonight.
Congratulations to the Sioux Falls Canaries, Carter and company. Carter, one of the nicest young men you're ever going to meet. These playoff things don't come around every year. We all know this. T-Bones fans went through a long 10-year drought. We've been back-to-back, and really back-to-back-to-back, if you count 17, because T-Bones clinched a spot but lost the tiebreaker. They don't come around often. My first year in Gary, the Railcats did win my intern year, but did not return the entire time I was there. So these are special, and I know it's got to be, especially for Sioux Falls. I mean, for about a month last year, they played about as good a baseball as anybody in the league. They were that good and just ran out of gas. And I remember Rob Pinnier and I have joked about this since then with This Week in the Association. He talked about how good they were. They were the team to beat. And Sioux Falls wound up finishing down the bottom of the division. They weren't the team to beat. Even with Lago joined the bunch last year, with them last year. Of course, Lay to Cleveland, them back this year in the expansion draft, the allocation draft, let's call it. But it's been a long uphill battle. Sioux Falls has kind of been, even in my time in the league, they've really never threatened in either division the last couple of years. Even when I was in Gary, and again, this is one of those things. You go to Sioux Falls, you're expecting you have a chance to win a series. That I got to tell you, that's kind of the way it worked. I mean, sorry about that, guys. Sorry, I got unplugged the plug there. Almost lost the power. I got wires off the feed here, but they've made the moves. They've made the moves, and finally it's worked out for them. And it's good to see. It's sticking with the program. Maybe, and there's been some talk over the last couple of years that they didn't give guys enough chance at the skipper spot. Mike Meyer is a guy they've gave a chance to. There were rumors going around in the last couple of years they'd make a change again. They didn't, and I think that's the good thing. Some consistency there, letting him build his program, which he's done. Consistently build his program and elevate the level and get that talent level up. And as he built the bullpen from the back end forward, which is a lot of times we've seen Sioux City do the same thing. Over the years, Steve Montgomery's built his bullpen first and built his staff around it. And that's kind of what Sioux Falls did as well. And you see a very, very similar type ball club to what Sioux City's had the last couple of years. But it's good to see two new clubs battling it out. I say new. Expansion club, 2 years old, and a club that's not been there since 2010. So same kind of drought the T-Bones are on. And it's good to always see that. And, granted, if we can't be there, it's good to see somebody else be there. And I keep saying this, though. I mean this. Any other year, I'd be mad. Why are they making it? We're not making it. But this year, because we're not playing, the T-Bones, that is, I say we, in the way this whole pandemic thing's gone on, the way there's so much bad news. Anyone can feel good and have a good thing happen to them. I say good on you. And I say no problem whoever wins it. I don't care if it's Milwaukee, whoever. I would be fine with whoever wins the league this year. And I have no problem with these two teams winning it. It doesn't matter. I've got no horse in the race, and wishing them both the best. But very good stuff. By the way, that schedule looks like this. They begin on Saturday. Where is that schedule? I had the clinch there. Somewhere on the schedule. I don't know where I put it, but didn't even put it. Oh, here we go. Playoff schedule. There we go. I didn't put it in the system, but there you go. Playoff schedule this weekend. There it is. Coming up, game one. It's 1 versus 2 seed, but again, that's going to be at Milwaukee this weekend. There'll be Milwaukee. That'll be both Saturday, Sunday. Off day Monday. Then they return for 3 at Sioux Falls, and then they come back to Milwaukee if necessary for 6 and 7. I think, again, not handicapping this thing 100% yet. I just have a feeling that this thing goes to 7. I mean, I think 6 or 7 is a pretty safe bet. Just quickly, I didn't know how those teams did. How they do head-to-head this year. Let's just check that out. I didn't even pull that up yet. Sioux Falls and Milwaukee. What was that like this year? Let's see. This year, in the 6 ball games, Sioux Falls hit 235 against Milwaukee and an ERA of a 3.74. That's pretty good for them as far as numbers are concerned. Let's see here. They went head-to-head numbers as well. Let's pull this up again. Don't you like when I do this on the fly here, head-to-head? What did Sioux Falls look like against, what did Milwaukee look like against them this year? Milwaukee hit 277 in the 6 ball games against Sioux Falls, and head-to-head a 3.74 ERA this year. So looks like 1, 2, 3, 2. So they're 3-3. Yeah, 3-3 against each other. Yeah, just pulling these up. 3-3 against it. So the season, a slight edge. Well, pitching kind of even, at least in the numbers for the season. A slight offensive edge. Yeah, not a slight, but a pretty good offense. So let's check it out again. A 40-point edge basically for Milwaukee over Sioux Falls. ERAs though 3.74 and 3.74. Yeah, 3.74 and 3.74 head-to-head this year. Both teams head-to-head exactly the same ERA and basically a even match, 3-3. So I expect this thing to go 7 games. I don't see why not. And it really, if there ever was a year it should go 7 games, it's this year in the American Association with the best of 7. There, mention the standings, already got that. Again, today and tomorrow, that'll be it for the association, and there's your association numbers. Players and pitcher of the week. I mentioned Chicago player and pitcher of the week. Let's pull up the player of the week during a 6-game stretch. Tyler Ladendorf was the player of the week. Pull the media down there. There we go. But he was, I'm actually going to do one more thing too on here, because I don't know if I can actually hear me. There we go. Hear me as well. So I like to be able to hear what I'm saying when I'm talking. There we go. Pop that down. But again, Ladendorf player of the week, a 6-game stretch against Winnipeg and Sioux Falls, crushed 4 homers while registering an 8 for 22 clip. That's 364. And a former major leaguer drove in 11 runs, scoring in each of the Dogs' 6 games, crossing the plate 9 times over there at O'Hare, is the airport right there. Had a home run at Winnipeg, a win over Winnipeg on Tuesday of last week, a 2nd grand slam of the season, launched a solo shot in the 3rd, and it was a 3-run long ball that next day as well. 7th in the association with 13 homers, joining Victor Roach with 16, is actually Joey Terdosevich and I think it's Terdosevich, Michael Krause with 15 and 10 have the Dogs in the top 10. They're a long ball club, but again, Tyler Ladendorf is your player of the week in the association, and he was with the Atlantic League last year, former big leaguer. He had 13 home runs last year in the Atlantic League there. Let's pull this down because I'm getting a little bit of echo there, so sorry about that. Oop. There we go. Take that out, so I hope that'll get my echo. I was listening to my audio, but I realized that it was giving me I know why. There we go. Much better. There we go. Again, good to see Bobby out there. Going to get your questions and comments in just a moment as well. I see a couple of those. Mike Devine, he falls right there on my
homestand before the Saints embark on a 6-game road
with an affiliated ball club. Mike Devine started the week with an impressive performance against Milwaukee. Ended with another impressive performance against Winnipeg. Both outings, 13 batters struck out in each. Finished punch-out shy each time, with timed the franchise record for strikeouts in a game. Third American Association Pitcher of the Week honors for him as well. 3 times this year he's been the Pitcher of the Week. He also, first pitcher for St. Paul since Mark Hamburger was named 3-time winner in 2016. So he joined some pretty heady company right there. But for the week, 15 2/3 innings, 2 earned, on just 9 hits, walking at 2, struck out 26 as he had a phenomenal week. Again, Mike Devine is the Pitcher of the Week in the American Association. I mean, just very impressive stuff right there. This guy, again, he can pitch on my team anytime. 3-time Pitcher of the Week in the association for those St. Paul Saints. You're going to see Mike Devine right there get the Pitcher of the Week in the American Association. All right, couple things. First off, T-Bone so far, and I'm going to read this to you. Donna says she's been talking about Roy Morales and Christian Correa. Of course, both one a T-Bone and one a former T-Bone. And they're looking forward to playing against each other. Watch them there at bat during the games. They're talking and laughing with each other, former roommates and good friends. Yeah, Bill, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Of course, Roy was signed for 2020. Christian had a bit of an odyssey. He went to Grand Prairie or to Texas, was plunked off their team in the draft to Milwaukee, had a great go. Christian and Roy both, I tell you, and I looked this up the other day, they're in the top, because of the fact we played fewer games this year, and there's some guys that have some percentages, caught stealing percentages that are up there, but as guys who have played as much behind the plate as these 2 guys have had, they're right there 2 and 3 as far as stolen base, caught stealing percentage. Both of, Christian's made the fewest errors behind the plate as a catcher. I think Roy's made the 3rd fewest of the regulars of guys that have caught more than 20 games this year. Both have been contributing. Of course, Christian's had phenomenal runs. Where's the dog in the background? Hello, Max. Hello, everybody. There's baseball's best mate right there. You can see his tail looking in the studio. Max in the studio. But Correa's had some very big walk-off and some high drama moments for the Milwaukee Milkmen. Roy might have been the final piece for that Sioux Falls roster to help their offense. Again, it stretched their lineup card out 1 to 9. He very well may be. Of course, the move from Winnipeg and he had a really good go in Winnipeg as well. But good to see, yes. And I'm looking for. I saw that other night they were playing a couple of nights, a week ago, whatever it was, 10 days ago, fortnight ago, and there are some smiles there. But yes, Roy Morales and Christian Correa, of course, the Greers, great supporters of the T-Bones, host parents, Bill and Donna there. They're in Kansas City. And, of course, Roy and Christian were roommates last year, and now they're going to be playing in the postseason. So at least one T-Bone receiver is going to get a ring. Pretty cool, huh? That's kind of cool. I mean, at least one. So that's kind of cool. The former T-Bone Correa or the current T-Bone Roy Morales. Really good to see there. Good to see Cousin Blake out there as well. All right, T-Bones, things to note as well. How about this? So we kind of close things out here. How about Mason Davis? Mayday making plays like this.
One hopper past the mound. Davis gets it, wheels, throws, and he gets him. Oh, what a play by Mason Davis, the shortstop.
Tom Wynn, the voice of those Milwaukee Milkmen, courtesy of the Milwaukee Milkmen. They're wearing those cool Milkmen. Look at the cool jerseys they're wearing with the Milkman bow tie. Look at Mayday. Spins, throws, get him, got him, big bang, and boom. Mayday all the way. I love Mason Davis. Whenever I see Mason flash that glove and looking sharp in that Milkman top, that good-looking Milkman kit, Fields spins, the man from the Citadel, the Georgia man right there with the out right there. Mason Davis with the play there is good stuff for Mayday this week. That was actually in the Milkman's walk-off win on Saturday that the night they clinched. So it's Fargo Moritz, so really good stuff to see Mayday there. T-Bone's items as well to note. Give you a couple of the leader numbers here, at least just come from where I'm sitting here. Actually, I want to change the camera angle. I think you guys are tired. You guys tired of that camera? Let's do that one. Let's scroll for a moment. How about that? Actually, the lighting's okay. Let's see here. Roy Morales, talked about Roy a while ago with Sioux Falls. He's batting for the year .331. At Sioux Falls, .330. So he's right there on his number for the season. He's gone deep twice, both those times with Winnie. 22 RBIs in the year. And let's see here. He's actually stolen 5 bases this year, Morales has. But Roy hitting .330 for the season. Alay Lago, former T-Bone with the Canaries, .318, gone deep 3 times. I kind of thought Alay might have a little more of a long ball in him this year, but his RBI total 34, that's top 10 in the league. Hits 76. I mean, you talk about lapping the field. That puts him hit-wise. That puts him 3rd in the league in hits, behind Coral Prime from a Perth Eater, and Mikey Reynolds is second. I know he was second in hits. He's second, former T-Bone, and of course Adelaide Giant as well for the St. Paul Saints. Ryan Brett, 243 for the Canaries as well. Milwaukee, Adam Brett Walker, 272. 22 homers. He's in the MVP mix. That hasn't come out yet. I'm going to get to that in a moment. Dylan Tice, 257 in 57 ball games. 4 homers, 23 driven in for the Milkman. Mason Davis, 229. 5 homers, 28 RBIs, 13 stolen bases. That's good for 4th the association. Correa, Christian, 210. 4 homers and 20 driven in right there. Let's see here. Let's pull that back up. There we go. I like that a little better. How about that? I love the little buttons. Again, you couldn't do this 20 years. You couldn't do this 10 years ago. Be able to do this now to kind of, again, producer, writer, director, lighting, sound guy, video editor, host. Yay, this guy. All right, let's continue. Pitching-wise, A.J. Schegel, 1.07, 27 games, 25 and a third of relief this year. Basically the setup man in Milwaukee, part of a very good bullpen. By the way, Sioux Falls and Milwaukee, 2 deep and very solid bullpens. That should make this series delicious as well, that 7-gamer, because both teams have got solid pins. Miles Smith, another part of that bullpen, 1.96. Former T-Bone and Dylan Baker, 5.50. Dylan, more of the long roll, 18 innings so far for those Milwaukee Milkmen. And then the other T-Bone connections, mentioned Reynolds, 332. Jamison McGraney, the closer for St. Paul, 2.52. McGraney would have been a T-Bone this year. 14 saves, good for 2nd in the association. Darnell Sweeney, 282. He'll be in that MVP mix. 14 long, 38 driven in this year. 12 stolen bases across the board. Pretty solid stuff from Sweeney. Jordan George, 225. 7 homers, 31 RBIs. Of course, George re-signed in 2020 with the T-Bones and was picked off in that draft as well. Frank Duncan, the former Jayhawk, 5 and 6, a bit up and down, but 4.94, respectable. There's 71 innings, 49 strikeouts for the former Jayhawk. And also these notes to pass along to you as well. I didn't mention this last week, but the Constellation League, which was the independent league being played down in Sugar Land, Texas at the Constellation Park down in Houston. Casey Gillespie with the Eastern Reyes de Tigre, 218 in 26 ball games. Ramsey Romano for Sugar Land hit 133 in his 14 ball games. Akeem Bostic for Sugar Land, former, of course, T-Bone signee this year, former Astros farmhand, 0.90 ERA in 8 ball games, 10 innings of work, and has a save in that. Henry Owens, 3 games, 3 innings of work for Sugar Land's Lightning's loss, and he high ERA. With his limited action, the ERA is a 22.09, but he did strike out 6 and 3 2/3. TJ House, former T-Bone, 1 and 2, a 3.38 for the Eastern Reyes de Tigre. 29 and a third innings. Have a good year for them. 3.38, 1 and 2 the record, but a 3.38, 29 strikeouts as well. Those guys all in the Constellation League down in Sugar Land. That league ended 2 weeks ago, and I hadn't even put those numbers out. I'm going to try to catch up with Ramsey Romano in the off season, probably in one of our first shows. We're going to get Ramsey on if we can and have him tell us about that experience, which was a 4-team league consisting of Roger Clemens was managing one team, Peter Gavilli another. Clemens' sons were playing in the league. A lot of former big leaguers, a lot of familiar names down there in that league. It'd be interesting to see how that went for Ramsey, who's now, I believe, back in California. Good to see Meredith out there. Let's see here. Kevin says, is Morales going to play in the playoffs? Morales has been out since taking 2 tips to the catcher's mask last week in Fargo. I have not heard. I don't know. I assume so. Did he get put on the IR? Let's just see real quick. I got that up. Transaction sheet. I do not know if they put him on there or not. No, he's not on the list now, as of now. So I assume he's going to play in the playoffs, Kevin, would be my assumption. They've got, who's the other catcher? Ben Coulter, I believe, has been catching some. Am I right there? Sounds right. But no, that's not correct. Coulter's not catching. Who am I thinking of for Sioux Falls? Give me a moment here. I got to brainstorm. It is Coulter. I guess it is Coulter that's catching, right? Because Coulter's playing right field some when Roy's catching. That's right. So it is Coulter. Coulter is catching. Kevin talked to Roy. He said he actually took 3 to the head. That was that game. They're waiting, watching him. Hope he can play the play. So he's not been. Well, reading what Bill and Donna and what Kevin said, it sounds like to me that if he's not been placed on the IR or on the disabled list or anything of the nature, and the roster's got to be submitted on Friday, I would think they're probably waiting to see to make sure he's all good. Now, of course, you've got to, in your player pool, you go back to 10 days ago who could be on that postseason roster. I do know Mike Hart can catch. Mike Hart can catch. He caught over in Australia. He caught in college as well. That's a possibility. But Hart's been playing in the outfield, mostly left field for them. But they do have some depth there, so that is a possibility, as you could see that happen, possibly. Perhaps having him join Coulter and Hart can both. Yeah, Coulter and Hart, as I mentioned, Hart can catch. I knew that as well. But again, glad you're along the Steakhouse. Our final regular season show, final regular season. I can't believe. Can you believe? It's already that time again, and we are using 2 cameras. See, well, there we go, 2 cameras, all good. We opened with that camera. That was my opening shot. I'm going to start doing more stand-up shots like that. Maybe get a green backdrop, and I'll be standing over the Grand Canyon or something. I don't know. Quick let's run through the league leaders. Mentioned Drew Ward, and didn't mention him. Talked about him last week. Drew Ward leads the league at the plate, 340. He's going to be very much in the mix of MVP conversations. I would think that you're probably going to, it's really, for the most part, the MVP race, basically, I think he's the league, the contender, at least the league leader right now at the moment. I think he's the guy that's probably going to get the nod. Curl Prime, 335, was going to get some votes. Mikey Reynolds, I would sure get some votes as well, but I think you're going to see Darnell Sweeney in the mix, and also Adam Brett Walker. Their power and RBI numbers are going to get them up there. But I just think in general, I think Drew Ward is the guy. I don't think, and Kevin, you're out there watching, I would think that's the guy. Number wise, 40 runs, 70 hits. He's going to be up there. It's just looking down the list of leaderboard in the association, looking down, he's going to be 15 home runs. That puts him 4th. But Adam Brett Walker with 22 leads the league. Darnell Sweeney with 14's 5th. RBIs, it's Walker with 48. Kyle Martin of Winnipeg, 47. Ward with 43 is 5th, so he's right there in the mix. Stolen base wise, he's not in that top 5. At bats, not in the top 5 at bats. So let's see here. Kind of scanning the stat sheet here. Runs scored, not in the top in runs scored. Hits, finds him 6th in hits. Total bases, 2nd, 129 behind Adam Brett Walker. It's going to be Adam Brett Walker or Drew Ward, I think. I think that's the way it's going to go. Although Kevin and I looking a little bit too, Dave McTomska could also be in the mix too. I haven't really. I kind of slept on him a little bit. He's with Sioux Falls, and I meant to say this earlier. I had a note in my script. You know, when you got Roy Morales, all that did was just put one more bat in that lineup card, stretch out the card, and made guys like Tomska just even more dangerous. And again, like we talked about, adding Jose Sermo to Milwaukee just made their lineup card, made Adam Brett Walker that much better. So I would think Tomska's in the mix as well. Good point, Kevin. I didn't really, but I think those are your three: Ward, Tomska, Adam Brett Walker. I would have said Sweeney 2 weeks ago would be in there. I think Darnold's probably got to get some votes in that fourth spot. I think what Mikey Reynolds has done has been phenomenal as well. He's really winding himself into a pretty solid year-round ball player, both winter ball in Australia with the Adelaide Giants and now with St. Paul, of course, former T-Bone. But I think that's the way it goes as far as the breakdown of the way the association works out. A couple of notes to pass along to you, too, looking at some of the former T-Bone connections here. Just going to scan down here. Mentioned Sweeney already. Mason Davis is second in stolen bases with 13, former T-Bone. Dylan Tice with 10 is sixth in the league. Looking here, pitching numbers. Frank Duncan with 5 wins will be third in the league when it's all said and done. Jamison McGrady with 14 saves right now, second in the league, former T-Bone. Keaton Steele leads the league, former T-Bone. T-Bone Sonny. Mike Devine, 89 strikeouts, will finish the top of the table there. David Holmberg will be third, second, along with Tyler Pike. Fargo Moorhead in strikeouts. A couple more of the items here to tell you about. Matt Tomshaw with 3 complete games. No other guy in the league has got more than 2. Fargo Moorhead's Tomshaw. Let's see here. Mike Devine with innings pitched, 80 and a third. He and Tomshaw both right there, 80 and a third, lead the league in innings pitched. Let's see here. Looking to see if there's anything T-Bone related here. John Anderson, Perth Heater right there with a complete ball game. Just throwing that out there. Darnell Sweeney with 40 runs will finish third. Andrew Ely, 55, should finish with Sioux Falls, should finish first in the league in runs. Hits, Curl Prime with 80, Reynolds with 79. They're right there, 1 and 2. Of course, Prime with Fargo. Looking down here, doubles. Christian Aya of St. Paul leads. Brendan Metzger with 44 walks from Fargo leads the league there. Extra base hits. Adam Brett Walker with 30 leads the league currently with Mikey Reynolds second right there. And let's see here. Other items to pass along. Stolen base percentage, Logan Trowbridge with 900%. Mason Davis, 867. Dylan Tice, 818. That's your top 3 in the league. And I mentioned Mike Hart a while ago. Poor guy, been hit 12 times this year. 3 better than teammate Andrew Ely. So again, not only do the Canaries get on base by walks, they get on base by hit by pitches as well. So again, that passed it along to you. Dark horse would be Logan Landon. Yeah, I would think that would be a dark horse as well. I did actually, and I'm going to get to that right now, Kevin, because you mentioned Logan Landon. I'm going to bring my ballot to you, folks, right now. Show is the Steakhouse. My name is Dan Vaughan. We're wrapping things up, rounding third, heading for home on a Wednesday, our final regular season show of the season. And I'm going to give you guys the way I voted in the association's the association postseason all-star team ballot. I do this every year. I don't mind giving my ballot, but I was included in the ballots. The broadcasters, basically where it goes, you've got a broadcaster, media rep, and a manager. That's how it works. Well, not broadcaster, front office / media person, which usually is the broadcaster. Front office vote and manager vote is how it usually works. And I chose Carl Prime as my first baseman, and my second baseman was Fargo Moorhead. My second baseman is Edwin Aurora of Chicago. Damick Tomska of Sioux Falls, my third baseman. Wes Darville of Winnipeg, my shortstop. Logan Landon, you just mentioned him a moment ago. Sioux Falls in the outfield. Darnell Sweeney. Now, Sweeney's interesting. He played second. He's played short. He's played all over. Majority of the time in the outfield, I went ahead and put him in the outfield because I think of him as an outfielder. So Darnell Sweeney got my vote for the outfield. Adam Brett Walker in the outfield as well for Milwaukee. Catcher, this is a tough one because I went with Roy Morales offensively with Roy Morales. Defensively, if the defensive position would have been a different story, I'd have gone with Christian Correa, but they don't. I had to take into account the entire body of work, offense and defense. That's why I went with Roy, a slight edge to Roy. Designated hitter Drew Ward, who's my MVP candidate as well. David Holmberg was my pitcher of the year for Milwaukee. Relief pitcher of the year was Peyton Gray of Milwaukee as well. Rookie of the year is always a little dicey because is it the true rookie, a guy who came out of college to play in the league, or is it a rookie under classification? And not seeing a lot of the rookies this year, I went always a safe bet is I go with a guy who's a rookie in the league, and it's always a safe bet. Jamison McGraney with St. Paul was my pick there. Again, it's all perspective of where I'm sitting. Clint Coulter is my defensive player of the year, the most outfield assists. He's also versatile as well, can catch and play the outfield. So I went Coulter, got a great arm. He was my defensive player of the year. Manager of the year, Anthony Barone. I think that's, to me, the way to go. Although, I think that, Rick Forney in Winnipeg it was hard not to give him the vote. It was very hard. If Winnipeg would have finished around 500, I probably would have given the nod. The fact they're really below, but just the fact he kept that team upright in contention through the very last 10 days of the season, big tip of the cap. But I think the body of work, what Barone's done to put those, and really only make the small moves here and there, and what he did adjustment-wise to go with his fine drafting, and initially when a lot of draft, that's the reason I went there. Executive of the year, this was a tough one too, because everybody needs to be executive of the year this year, because I think everybody in the league stands out for various reasons. St. Paul to pull off what they pulled off home and away. I think there's a nod there. Andrew Collier, just to keep his guy, but Andrew was more across the board in Winnipeg. I'd almost had to say, well, Rick Forney's sort of keeping his guys upright with an assist to Steve Schuster. I would think their play-by-play man. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can look at this thing. Sioux Falls, there was some thoughts there. But Duel does a great job, and Sioux Falls having two teams the entire, part of the time, and that's where I'm going. You see where I'm going with this thing. Matt Roa of Fargo is my guy. Fargo hosting the only bubble that lasted the entire time. They hosted more games than anybody, although Sioux Falls was there. Don't get me wrong, and I think what Sioux Falls did is host. I want to give this to the entire league, but my thinking was what Fargo's done, and to be a host to Winnipeg, and how grateful Winnipeg was. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but the American Association TV site, they had, look, this is a broadcast last the weekend, the final broadcast last Thursday, I think it was, of the final Winnipeg game there before Winnipeg hit the road. And the love the fans gave, and the Winnipeg players, the fans, big tip of the cap. So that's why I'm going with Fargo Morad as this year's Executive of the Year. Big Matt up there. Playing service, I didn't see any of them. I didn't vote. I had put NA. So, Kevin, I'll take your word. Whoever's great. Player of the Year, Drew Ward. And Organization of the Year, this was tough because I could have made a case for Winnipeg, Sioux Falls, St. Paul, Fargo, Chicago, for all these teams, what they've done during this COVID. I think what Milwaukee did overall, and I mean, when I say organization, I didn't see them in person, so I wasn't there. But what I saw from their show on the broadcast, their extra items they were doing on social media, their social media engagement was phenomenal. What I saw there, what I think they're doing overall as a club on the field and off the field was my nod there. So that's the way I went. Now, granted, it didn't go into how I was treated there as a visitor, what their media notes were, or any of that, because that's a lot of times what we judge it on as broadcasters, how we're treated on the road and how the box is, but those don't apply to me this year, just from what I saw from, you gave the playing service to, Kevin says he gave the playing service to Lincoln. I could, but I didn't see it. I mean, They didn't actually play games on Lincoln. I mean, in that case, I want to give in that case, the T-bone surface should be up there because Miller Time has ready for the Royals. I get it though. Kevin. I get it. Kevin says he went with Morales in his blog, but he did it over again. Chinea would be the guy. Devil's Machine led the Saints in RBIs. Yeah, it's hard. This year may have been harder for me because there was so many. There was so many super teams, and there was every team. I could have made a list of these guys off of every team, pretty much. That's how deep these teams were. But there's my association teams of the my vote. Again, my vote. Going to see Brooke Knight out there as well, Perth Heat legend in the Pacific Northwest. All right, round this thing. I'm going to head it for home here. We're about done on the show. Now, here's the schedule going forward. This is the last regular season show. Now, I don't know what we're going to do for the postseason. We need to do a postseason wrap. So what I may do, it's up to me. We're going to do something. I may wait till the postseason wraps up and come back your way in 2 weeks' time and give you a short wrap. Maybe Kevin or Rob can join me, perhaps. I also want to do a show with Joe Capietro once we kind of get the off-season rolling as well. At the moment, the Steakhouse will be kind of in limbo until the middle of October. That's the way it's going to go to our official show. Now, I will make an announcement, again, whether it'll be next week or the week after, a quick wrap-up of the season. And we may actually, that show actually may air on Twitter. We may actually do that show on Periscope just to kind of get the cobwebs out of that one. But the Steakhouse is not going away. We're going to close things down. We'll bring you breaking news as needed, as things merit. And then also we'll have a end of season show, which will come your way in 2 weeks' time. Not next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, a shorter show. We'll give you a quick update on what happened. I'll come on and give you a little love and say goodbye for the season. This is really more than a goodbye for the season. But been a great year. I envy what's gone on this year for a lot of folks. Perspective has been unique for me this year. We haven't played ball. Haven't called a game. Don't know when I'm going to call a game again. Don't know if I'm going to get in Australia or not. Don't know when. We don't know. I mean, we think the T-Bones will be fine next year, but we haven't seen the schedule yet. We think we'll be fine. We think this thing's we're going to come out of it. So it's a lot of up in the air thing. I think when it really dawned on me this morning, to all you folks, was how much this job means to me. How much the T-Bones mean to me. How much being blessed enough to do what one wants to do for a living is an immeasurable gift. I was thinking this morning what things I might have to do to get by. Because right now, the T-Bones we're not working. We're all furloughed. What am I going to do to get by? What kind of job could I take? And I kept coming back to how fortunate I was, how blessed I am to be in this business and to work for the T-Bones, to work at the American Association. So my closing thought, which I would close in the broadcast normally with, is how blessed I've been, even though I wasn't calling games this year. If I never called another game in my life, how blessed I've been to call all the games I've called. That is something I'm very thankful for. And I look at guys like Steve Schuster, Jack Michaels, these guys that Sean Aronson, I mentioned Carter earlier. We talked to our new friend Tom Wynn, the guy. These folks and what these young men, young and old, have done. I mean, I tip my cap, and I look at a guy like Steve Schuster, who through uphill odds, no home games, out of a hotel bag or a suitcase all year, has managed to plug along and put out quality Winnipeg broadcasts, quality media notes, quality engagement. I mean, these guys doing it under tough circumstances, I tip my cap. And I think we all really, and I think all these guys, I know them, some of them more than others. I think we're all in the same boat as broadcasters, how we'll never take for granted, and I never have, but I'll never take for granted the opportunity and the blessing it is to call games and to do what one wants to do, because a lot of us don't get that opportunity. There are a lot of folks right now looking for jobs in this very field who don't have that opportunity. And the fact that I've had it and then I continue to hopefully will do it. It's a blessing. So my perspective on this season is a lot different than it was going into it. I was, dang it, I want to play. We gotta play. And then we don't play. And that really, to me, is what I want to leave you guys with. Because, again, and I'm trying to choose it properly here, but the opportunity to walk in that booth, flip the mic on, and do what I want to do is the greatest gift besides my wife, my family, and my Lord. I mean, those are the things that, and I know I probably should have done the order. My Lord and Savior, my wife, and my family. Those are gifts that and then you throw this right there with them. So, and I tell my daughters this all the time. To do what one wants to do for a living, what you really desire to do, what your real passion is a blessing beyond words. So thank you for once again letting me share the broadcast booth with you this summer. Yes, we weren't on the air like we always are, but we're together. And I appreciate you guys dropping by, stopping by to say hi, maybe for 5 minutes or watching on replay or whatever. Thank you. The reason I believe we're the best, because you're the best, those folks who follow the T-Bones. Okay, couple program notes to get along past all that. Much love to you guys. We do have the other items coming up. Of course, social media-wise, there you go. And follow me, Dan Vaughan Jr., Dan Vaughan and Dan Vaughan Jr., a couple of juniors. By the way, happy day late birthday to my dad, who would have been 80-something today, and a couple of days ago. Miss him dearly every day. But there you go. You can see me and the junior. That's why this the junior. You can check those out. I encourage you to follow me. I'll follow you back as well. And there you go. T-Bone's Greatest Hits tomorrow. Our final show of the season on Mix LR tomorrow from the vault to you. The classic rock vault to you. We'll come your way tomorrow, and we'll bring you the T-Bone's game number. Kevin, close your ears. Close your ears, mate. Earmuffs. It's game 4 of a best of 5 from 2018 of the American Association Championship Series. That'll be tomorrow's broadcast, noon Central Time on MixLR. We'll come your way there. All right, final call for questions, comments, anything else out there. Glad you guys stopped by, either be just for a minute or 5 minutes or lots of minutes or whatever. T-Bone's Twitter account up and running. Morgan and I are on top of that. At T-Bones Baseball, of course, our Facebook page, Instagram, our website. We're going to kind of be in dry dock. So I want you guys to kind of think about, for coverage for the T-Bones, think of it as a normal season ending. But just think of it, the season ends. We go into that dry dock mode for about 6 weeks or so. We'll give you breaking news that happens. Then we start ramping up our coverage mid-fall and get blowing into the winter months, and we get the hot stove cooking and get things going again. So we'll be adding some things. We'll be doing this, but we'll be going forward doing what we always do. So nothing goes away. We kind of just go into our off-season mode. So don't think, we're the T-Bones. We're in off-season mode in about one more day. So all good. Again, questions, comments, last call there. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me this year. Again, much love to all you guys. I keep saying it every time. Let's be kinder. Let's be gentler. Let's show more empathy and much more love tomorrow than we did today. When we come back as T-Bone Faithful next spring, next May 2021, let's be better folks. Let's be better all around at everything. And most importantly, let's love each other more than we did this time the year before. How about that, all right? Please be safe, folks. Again, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all the channels. And again, big thank you to you guys. Again, I believe we're the best because you're the best folks who follow the Kansas City T-Bones. All right, guys, let's just scroll there. The reminder right there, follow me on Twitter. And as we always say, what do we always say in our broadcast? You guys know it? You guys know it? Let's all say it together. Let's all do it. Let's all say it together here. Let's all say it together in 3, 2, 1. Good night, Sizzle.